Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled Typical Neighbor from Hell's Story. Background: long story short, I rent a house. My landlord is a slumlord who happens to own several houses on my street, including the one next to me. I have lived here for years now. The new neighbors moved in right before the new year. We have a shared driveway that is shaped like a Y. We both enter on the same part and then I go right to get to my driveway. They go left to park in theirs. For the last 2 months, they block me in or out of my driveway no less than 2 times a week by not pulling all the way up into their branch of the driveway. All 4 of the roommates living there have blocked me at least twice. I'm not going to go into details, but it is a huge annoyance to me, and I have let them and the landlord know how stupid I think they are, and I have no qualms about waking them all up at 3 AM to move one of their cars, and yet they still do it. The revenge: our neighborhood has a lot of crime. It is also very dark. No streetlights to be found. These people called the landlord and convinced him they needed floodlights. I already have a floodlight which faces the driveway and in doing so shines right on the side of their house, but one bulb went out and the other was not wired correctly, and so now it doesn't work at all. They demanded the landlord fix my light as well as install one for them, and apparently he is as tired of them as I am, so he consented without my approval or even notifying me, and some guy came over to my house while I was at work and replaced the entire floodlight with one of those automatic lights. Timer light won't turn on during the day but comes on by itself at night. As it turns out, their house did not have the wiring to install a new one, but since mine shines on the whole upper part of the driveway, he figured only mine was needed, so they didn't get a light. I did not even notice it until one of those guys came over and talked to me the next day. Girl explained the above situation, so it would be great if you could just keep it on so our houses are a little safer. It is so nice that Roy, the landlord, got you an automatic one so you don't even have to worry about remembering to turn it on. Me? Yeah, I don't think so. Money has been pretty tight and I just don't think I can afford a higher electric bill. Girl, it is only a light. It cannot be more than like 2 cents a day. Me, still, I just got used to not having a light there and I think it would shine in my window and keep me up at night. I am fine like it is. Girl gets increasingly frustrated. It is only a few more cents and it would really make us feel safer at night. And here is where I just stop even remotely trying to be polite. Yeah, well, I don't really care about how you all feel at night. If you guys cannot take the extra 2 seconds to pull farther forward and not park like complete a-holes, then don't expect me to pay the extra 2 cents for a light so you can sleep better at night. Get the F off my porch, and next time you block my driveway, I'm having your car towed. The other day I was unlocking my front door right as one of them pulled up. The switch for the floodlight is right inside the doorway, so I flipped it on and it got their attention, and then I turned it back off, smiled and waved and went inside my house. F you, I win. And guys, I gotta say that is a very bizarre situation, because why would you need floodlights to feel safe? I mean, I can imagine having a streetlight or something is better than having a dark street, but a floodlight goes a little bit too far if you ask me. And the next one is titled, Don't like something that doesn't affect you? Then don't try and change it. This jolly little tale takes us back almost a decade to the spring/summer of 2008. But first, a little background to set the story. When my grandmother passed away, she left my dad her house. A small little single-floor place in a small community in a fairly rural area along the Potomac River. I spent many summers here fishing and engaging in other fun water-related activities while making friends with the kids of the houses across the street. Being a bit of a river community, there was a private beach and pier for HOA members. You would get a lot of people who bought a house for the weekends with the intent to retire there. The primary parties involved here are 1. The House of Crazy Rabbit Otter, my parents and I, number 2. House of Moomba, our neighbors across the street, number 3. House of RV, longtime friends of HOM, number 4. House of Fun, the family behind HOM, and 5. Grumpy Old People, the house directly to the west of HOM. Many years before the incident, as all members of the houses got a lock, interacted, kids played, etc., HORV and HOM got to talking. You see, HORV had a small Class C RV, not too big, about 20-ish feet in my opinion. And wouldn't it be cool to bring that up and keep it on HOM's property to function as extra sleeping space, etc. on all these fun weekends? The next weekend the RV is brought up, parked in HOM's side yard parallel to the street on the east side of the house. All goes well for several years until the spring up 2008. You see, the GOP had decided that they were going to spend more time at their river house, where they used to come down every couple of months and hide out in their home. They are now coming down every weekend trying to be social and having friends and family with them. The RV, however, was apparently making this impossible. Never mind the fact that they couldn't actually see it, as it was completely hidden by HOM's house. So GOP comes up with a plan. They complain to the community HOA several times. Enough that the HOA feels they should get involved. So the HOA starts pestering HOM to have the RV removed. HOM says, lol no, because the HOA rules and regulations have nothing in them about keeping RVs on property, etc. The HOA has no leg to stand on in the situation. They have to tell GOP too bad, so sad, better luck next time. GOP decided that this is not good enough, so if the HOA doesn't have a rule or regulation that helps, they will create one. At the next board meeting, a motion is created and gains some support. GOP, however, goes beyond the RV and are now wanting to include other things as well: tractors, boats, decrepit outbuildings. They very quickly lose support, as this would now cause problems with a lot of the current HOA members and board members. The motion falls on its face. You would think this was the end of it, but no. GOP just couldn't let such an injustice go. So after licking their wounds from the failed motion to change the HOA bylaws, they make an anonymous tip to the county about some nonsense about people living inside an RV. Keep in mind that HOC, HOM, HORV and HOF are all weekenders and don't actually live there. One sunny afternoon, while the Lord and Lady of HOM are outside doing a little yard work, an official county person stops by to investigate the claims of people living full-time in an RV. This is very quickly discovered to be not true, and the county official goes on their merry way. But the complaints keep coming in, county officials keep having to come out. This goes on for a few months. HOM and HORV are beyond annoyed. HOC and HOF are irritated. HOC has talked to many of the surrounding neighbors. We have long ties to the community and know many of them very well and are on very good terms. We ask around and from the grapevine learn that it is GOP that is filing all the complaints, and in fact there's a rumor floating around that one of the reasons GOP is doing this is because they wanted to buy HOM's property before HOM did and are bitter they were not able to. There is a lot of back and forth with the county government people. While no one actually lives in the RV, people do occasionally stay in it on weekends. After a few months, the county decides this is okay, but the RV will have to be moved. Its current location on the property puts it in direct line of sight of the street, so it needs to move behind the house. HOM and HORV are fine with this because it turns out that HORV was planning on selling the little RV in order to buy a larger one that they would eventually travel around the country in after they retired. So the little RV gets driven off on a nice Sunday and GOP is ecstatic. They think they have won. Imagine their surprise the next weekend when a big honking fifth wheel gets parked exactly where the county said it could be parked. In the back of HOM's property, in clear view of the nice screened-in patio that GOP just finished building. Don't like knowing a small RV is on your neighbor's property out of your sight? Tough, because all that complaining means you and your wife get to stare at it every time you drag your self-centered asses outside. And I gotta say guys, that was pretty genius revenge if you ask me. And if you enjoy the stories about entitled neighbors and sometimes even HOAs, then please don't forget to like the video and maybe post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support me. Thank you so much in advance, your help means a lot to me and it really boosts my channel. And the next one is titled, But It Is Not a House. I heard this story from my uncle last week. It made me laugh, so I thought I would share it. My uncle is a farmer in rural Ohio and has a lot of Amish neighbors. Earlier this year, one of them purchased an old farmhouse not far from my uncle's house. They got into a conversation about what his plans for the property were. The Amish man said the house was in pretty bad shape but came with a few dozen acres of surrounding land and he was planning on just removing the house and using the property as farmland. He figured that the cheapest and quickest solution was just to burn the house down. Uncle: whoa there, I'm not sure that's legal. Amish man: why not? I own the house. There's no other houses nearby that could be damaged. It won't hurt anyone. Uncle: I don't disagree, but the county has regulations about how buildings can be demolished. I'm pretty sure that burning down a building is not allowed even if you own it. You should check with the county sheriff's office first. So the Amish man borrowed my uncle's phone to call the sheriff's office, and it turns out my uncle was right. The sheriff told him that if he set the house on fire, he would have to pay a hefty fine. The Amish man was not very pleased, but thanked my uncle for letting him know. A few weeks passed and nothing happened. Then my uncle was driving home one day and saw that the house had been demolished. It looked to him like someone had just pushed it over with a bulldozer, because what was left was a large pile of lumber and roofing and vinyl siding. My uncle assumed they would be paying someone else to haul the wreckage away. And yes, before you say so, I know the Amish cannot use bulldozers, but they really have a lot of loopholes in that system of theirs. They cannot own modern technology, but there seems to be no prohibition against borrowing or hiring modern technology. Anyway, during work the next day, my uncle sees an enormous column of black smoke rising into the sky. Alarmed, he hops into his truck and follows the smoke cloud and discovers a large crowd of Amish watching a giant greasy bonfire that was the remains of the house. My uncle finds his neighbor in the crowd and walks over. Uncle: so you decided to burn it after all? Amish man: yup. Uncle: what are you going to do when the sheriff comes? Amish man: he already came and went. Uncle: and? Amish man: well, he told me that he would have to fine me for burning down my house. And I said, but it's not a house, it's just a pile of garbage. Burning your garbage is legal in their county. My uncle routinely does it himself. Uncle: what did the sheriff say? The Amish man smiled slowly. There was not anything he could say. He got into his car and drove away. And guys, I wish there was a subreddit for Amish revenge, because this one was pretty epic. And by the way, I am curious, have you ever met any Amish people? For some reason, and I don't know why, my aunt is really fascinated with old things in general, and especially with Amish people. Have you ever met them in real life? How are they? Let us know in the comments. And the next one is titled, I'm a manager at a valet company. Some a-hole constantly parks illegally in my lot. I manage the valet at a hotel. Our hotel is downtown and we own a large lot across the street. For a while we have had an a-hole in a Ferrari that constantly parks in our lot illegally. I have left numerous notes on his windshield to stop parking there to no avail. I could have towed his car, but I wanted to confront him. When I was not too busy, he once again parked in the lot. I took my car and blocked him. I also left a note on his windshield to see valet at hotel XXX. I also started the stopwatch on my watch. 1.5 hours passed and I was running to grab a car when I noticed him standing next to his car on the phone. He said to me, "Move this car, I have to get out." I replied, "I will move it when I have a chance." His response was, "I wouldn't talk to me that way, I'm a cop." I hopped into the car I was bringing to a guest and slowly meandered back to the Ferrari owner after I was done. My immediate response was, You are a cop? I would like your badge number and I would like to know where you are a police officer. He immediately denied that he ever said he was a cop, just that he had a lot of cop friends. I kindly informed him that cop or not, you simply can't park illegally, and I had given him numerous warnings. I let him know that I was busy, ran back to the hotel, did a lot of nothing for 10 minutes and headed back to him. He mentioned how I inconvenienced him and I retorted back, I'm sorry to inconvenience you, but you don't think you're inconveniencing me when I have a full lot and you illegally take my spot, making my job harder. I didn't know I couldn't park here. I pointed right above his car. You didn't see the huge sign saying no public parking, did you? I was only here for a few minutes. Sir, I started my stopwatch. You were here for over an hour and a half. Why are you giving me such a hard time? Why did you lie to me and say you were a police officer? After about 30 minutes of me leaving mid-conversation to check up on work, he finally apologized and I moved my car out of the way. A week later, I was pulling a different car out of the lot and he pulled in and flagged me down saying, "They told me I can park over to the left." I said, "Who told you that?" "Your boss." "Oh, that's interesting. I'm actually in charge of this lot and you cannot park here. I will happily tow your car the next time I see you here." "Well, where can I park?" I let him know the few spots that didn't belong to the hotel, but let him know that chances are he will get towed. He drove off and I haven't seen him since. Edit: a lot of you guys have been saying that it is more pleasurable to see their face when the car is towed. I would have loved to see that, but it was in a remote lot. Chances are 50-50 of me being there when a tow goes down. This guaranteed that he had to see me. A few weeks ago though, I put a tag on a lady's car saying not to park in our spot and she would be towed the next time. The next day it was back, so I put another tag on her car. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. She moved her car from one spot of ours to another. I then called the tow company, and when the huge tow man had showed up and put the racks around the tires before lifting it, the lady ran out saying she would move the car. The tow guy looked at me, looked at her and said, "That will be $80. It is what my company charges for me to come out." The woman then said, "I don't have $80. The tow guy looked at me, looked at her, looked back at me, smiled, hit the hydraulic button and said, "Then that will be $300. See you at the impound lot." That was gold. And guys, here you can see a picture of the situation. But by the way, I gotta say, that is a very nice Ferrari. But I'm curious, how the F are Americans pronouncing the word Ferrari? That is how we say it in German. And ripe stars, unfortunately we have already reached the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content. However, if you cannot wait for more ripe content, then I suggest you head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where you can find more exclusive Reddit content read by me. Patreon subscriptions start at just $1 per month, and for $1 your name will show up at the end of each of my new videos. However, if you are willing to spend $3 per month, you will get access to more than 50 exclusive Reddit videos, mostly just no mother-in-law stories. However, please understand, I don't want to pressure anyone into spending money, because I am already incredibly grateful that you watch my videos every single day. Thank you so much for your daily support, it really means the world to me, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for the next video.